Free feet pics, in case that's your thing. I'm worried bands are for old people. Kinda. I mean, they're not. But I see, not necessarily in bigger acts, like in bigger acts, you see like plenty of people, all ages. There's a lot of people out there doing really cool stuff. But when you go out locally, at least around here, maybe it's just where I'm going, what I see is people my age disproportionately represented in live music shows. And I'm not saying there's not younger people. I'm just saying I see more people closer to my age. And it makes me worried that bands are becoming a thing that like dads do. And that's a real bummer. Not that there's anything wrong with dads doing it or whatever. You know what I mean. But I feel like it disincentivizes younger people from being in a band because it kind of doesn't look cool when their dad is in a band. Thus, it always is. That's just the way we operate as like young humans with some older humans around them. If adults are doing something, it might incentivize the youth to avoid it, to not be associated with the space where the adults are. I'm trying to avoid using the words young and old for so many reasons, only some of them personal. Being in a band is like fun. I've been in a band since I was in high school, and I come from like a small town, a couple thousand people, like 3,000 people, something like that. There weren't a lot of bands, and the two bands there were basically the band I was in high school, so we were like 17, 18, and 19. And then there was another band that was kind of the band before us, and we played way more than them. And they were 20 to 25 or 27, just a little bit older than us, right? We had a special situation. It was a small town. There wasn't a lot going on. So when we played, we always had like a packed house. And whatever a packed house means there, probably 100 people, which isn't a lot by a grand standard. But when you're just a bunch of teenagers playing covers, that's a packed house. And it's fun. It is an amazing experience, especially when you're younger. As an adult, it's really fun too. That's why people still do it. But it was an amazing experience. I got to do that all through the last couple of years of high school, mostly covers, whatever. It was fun. We got paid. That's what's crazy. Right now, this is part of it, different part of the same conversation. We were getting $400 or $500 for a 4-hour set then. That was like 95. God, it's 2026. That was 30 years ago. People are getting the same amount of money. It's so rough. Always remember, kids, music is for people that like to do art. Music is not for people that want money. It never has been. Even then, when the money was a little better proportionately, it's always been for people that want to do art and share their art. If you are not doing it for that reason, you are doing it for the wrong reason. If you want money, you need to go into business or get a geology degree so that you can like help drill oil or something. It's just, that's not what it's for. It's not for money. Sure, people make money, certain people, very few people, but that's not what art is for. Art is for the joy of making and sharing art. So I hope that's why you're in it. Then, like, you didn't really see proportionately, of course, this is all just a relative thing. You didn't see as many older bands as you do now, 40s, 50s, things like that. Then you did occasionally, but if you did, it was a different landscape. Maybe I'm answering my own questions. It was people that had found like some moderate success. I'm talking about small bands. I'm not talking about national touring acts. I'm talking about like regional acts at the largest. Maybe those bands were a little older, but it wasn't like it is now. Those were bands of people that actually figured out how to make some money, enough money to sort of justify the movement. That's how they kept their bands into adulthood, right? They were able to make enough money to make it make sense. And this is not a lot of money, it's just enough money to make it make sense, which it is harder than ever to figure that out. Now what bands seem to be is full of people that have like enough free time and enough money to do it mostly as a hobby. Now everybody gets paid when they play, and you should, by God, more than what you're given, certainly. But it seems to be like that's the position now. It's always been a privilege. Everything about having the time and headspace to do art ends up kind of being a result of privilege to greater or lesser extents. But now it does seem like a band is something that adults do when they have like free time and money and they know how to play. And those bands are great. They're usually people that have been playing music for a long time. They have their shit together. They're organized. They know how to play. They have half decent gear. Those bands are actually great. It's like you see them in a studio. Like, that's a great band to have in a studio. You're talking about people that aren't money scared, have good equipment, and have practice. That's just, this is not a dig at that band because I am in that band to a certain extent. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. But I would love to see, maybe I'm going to the wrong places. I would love to see some shows that are just like younger bands front to back. Usually I'll go see, every once in a while I'll see a band that I recorded here. And if it's a younger band, I'll go see them and it'll be 3 bands or whatever. The young band will be the one band I went to see if I went to see a young band. And the other 2 bands will be adults. You know, they'll be millennial, elder millennials up to like Gen X. Young Gen X is kind of the main age group for that. So even in those cases, they're usually one band and the other 2 bands are still like full blown, like dad age. Not to say dad rock. There's a lot of really good people out there doing cool things regardless of age. This is not about that. So if you live in the Asheville area, it's about April, April, I don't know when the hell it is. April 17th. It's April 17th. If you're in the Asheville area and you know where shows with young bands are, I would love to just see that because I don't get to see that much. And I know they're making music. I know you could throw me a link, but that's not what I want. What I want is to get out and watch bands and see what like interesting shit younger bands are doing. Let me know. Asheville, Hendersonville area, younger bands, shows, hopefully bills with a couple bands, right? But whatever, let me know. I would love to have some shows to get out to, new stuff to see, and new people to see that are kind of out there grinding on it. Do you think I'm right? Am I wrong? Am I just going to all the wrong shows? Or is that right? Is that feeling real? Or am I making that up that like bands are starting to become a thing that dads do? I don't like that. That sucks. And it's not because dads do it. It's just like, I don't know. I want people to have the experience, I guess. I want people to have the experience that I had when I was young. It was a blast. I loved it. I still love it. Bands are fun. Maybe it's a genre thing. I feel like there's a lot more like solo stuff, especially when you include like, you know, the stuff that's always been like acoustic singers and now there's loopers and rappers perform alone and things like that. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong genres. That could be. I could totally just be in the wrong genres, in the wrong venues. I want some cool shows. Let me know about some cool shows. All right. Thank you and good luck.